The right time to shut down your limited company is not when you've lost everything. It's when you finally accept that the business is costing you more than it's giving you, and you don't believe the business will ever get back on a firm financial footing. Waiting too long doesn't save it, it just destroys you, the director, alongside the business. Now, I have seen hundreds of directors cling on for months, sometimes years, past the point of no return. They max out credit cards, they borrow from friends and family, and they end up personally liable for company debts. Now, they believe they can fix things. The truth is, sometimes shutting down is the smartest and strongest decision that you'll ever make. I'll tell you of a client that I dealt with last year. Lovely guy, he had a construction business, he ignored every warning sign, he couldn't pay VAT on time, his staff wages were late every month, he was maxed out in his overdraft. But what he did, instead of pulling the plug early, he took on another £500,000 worth of loans that he had to personally guarantee. And he did it to try and save things. But now his family home is on the line, and it could have been avoided. And that's why you need to know what the 5 red flags are. And if you see these red flags in your business, you can act before it's too late. Now, red flag number 1, and this is like Insolvency 101, you can't pay your debts as they fall due. I mean, as simple as it sounds, I mean, that is the legal definition of being cash flow insolvent. You can't pay your debts on time. It's the first red flag. You're constantly juggling payments, paying one person over another, robbing Peter to pay Paul. You've not got your next VAT quarter. You're constantly trying to set up time to pays with HMRC, asking for extensions. It's not a grey area. It means your business is insolvent. Now, the key thing is will the sun shine again? Will you get back? Is this a very temporary problem that's going to be fixed in a month or two? Now, red flag number 2 is you are borrowing to pay borrowing. And I know it sounds crazy, but I speak to directors all the time. They're using loans, credit cards, they're constantly in the overdraft, and they're getting more loans out to cover day-to-day costs. Listen, that isn't financing growth. It's funding the decline in the business. And every time that you borrow to plug a hole, you're taking tomorrow's problem and basically making it today's liability. The deeper you go, the few options you're going to have to close the company safely. And if your business is struggling and people are offering you loans to keep going, I can almost guarantee those loans have to be personally guaranteed. Now, red flag number 3, you've got HMRC constantly on your back. Now, in 2025, late 25, early 26, when this goes out, there are more than 2,500 extra HMRC debt officers. Now, that is why people are feeling the pressure, because there's just more people trying to get this money in for the revenue. And they can actually now take money directly from your bank account or your ISA if you owe them over £1,000 and you ignore them. Now, if you're getting brown envelopes that you don't want to open, or you've got basically enforcement agents at your door, or they're threatening to wind you up, this isn't a scare tactic from the revenue. It's the new norm. Because once HMRC come round your business and with a clipboard and take a list of all your assets, those assets are gone. They're not yours anymore. They might leave them on site for a few weeks, but if you don't pay your debts in full, they're going to take them away. And even worse, that they could file for a winding up petition. Now, winding up petitions are catastrophic for your business, and HMRC do it more than any other creditor. I've had a guy today, I've been speaking to him for about 12 months, and I've said, listen, this is going to get out of hand. We put a call into HMRC 6 weeks ago to say, listen, the guy's going to go into voluntary liquidation, can you just back up? But he was too late getting the information over, and today he's had a winding up petition from HMRC. Now, this isn't scare tactics, this is happening daily. Now, at HMRC, they file more winding up petitions than anyone else. If you are in arrears with them, you've got to act now. Do not hide. Listen, red flag number 4, your mental bandwidth is gone. And this is the one no one talks about, the psychological toll of business debt. Because when you are losing sleep at night, you're snapping at your kids, and you're spending every waking moment firefighting, you're not running a business anymore. The business is running you, and it's running you into the ground. And guess why I know? Because I have been there. 10 years ago, I had a business in the position yours is right now, and I didn't know where to turn. And in the day, I've got this blind optimism that things are going to get better. But you know, when I went home and I went to put my head on the pillow, that's when it started. It was like a pinball machine going off, and I couldn't sleep. I wasn't eating right. It was a horrible time in my life. So I really know how you're feeling. And I have it weekly. Directors are in tears telling me or the team, I'm tired, but I can't quit. What will people think of me? Now, the truth is, burnout will make your decision making 10 times worse. Now, insolvency, it can protect you, can protect the business, can protect the assets. I tell you what, it can protect your mental health. You can rebuild a business. You can't rebuild yourself if you're broken. Now, sign 5, red flag number 5. You've tried everything and the numbers still don't work. Now, if you've been watching my videos, I've taught you how to renegotiate with creditors. I've taught you how to set up time to pay arrangements with HMRC. We've spoken about cutting costs. Sadly, some staff sometimes need to be laid off. But if it's still not enough, the business model you've got doesn't work anymore. Listen, markets change, consumers change. I mean, listen, we are living in a time where the past 5 years have been it's been horrifying. You know, COVID, loads of people still haven't recovered from COVID. You add into that the cost of living crisis. The UK economy is absolutely in the toilet. Now, sometimes the bravest thing you can do is stop digging. I remember, I had a director last week, he said, Chris, closing my company was the hardest thing I've ever done. But it was also the smartest, because once I'd accepted that I was closing it, I could breathe again. And that's what I want to do. That's how I want to help you, give you a bit of clarity and not chaos. Now, what happens when you decide that, you know what, I can't make this work anymore, you know? What happens if I decide to close my company? So you've got 2 options really. You've got voluntary, you've got compulsory. They're the 2 main ways to close a business that's insolvent. Now, a voluntary liquidation, or a CVL, it's where you choose to close the company. You appoint an insolvency practitioner, and to a degree, you stay in control. A compulsory liquidation, on the other hand, is where a creditor forces you through the courts to close. And it's called a winding up petition. They'll have tried to get money out of you. They'll have tried to be nice. They'll have sent threatening letters. They might have sent bailiffs. And eventually, they petition to court to wind the company up compulsory. And if you don't pay what's due, your company gets wound up in court. And you lose control immediately. Now, this is a general rule of thumb. Voluntary liquidation gives you some control. A compulsory liquidation, for me, is chaos. Now, today the process is faster than it ever has been. You know, you can initiate a liquidation if it has to be in seven days. You know, a lot of it's done digitally now, which means less paperwork. But you've got to be careful. Now, shutting down is not about giving up. It's like closing one company to really protect yourself and your future and your creditors. Now, most of the directors I've helped go on to launch stronger, smarter businesses. Like, I've lost count of the amount of directors who call me months or even years after and say, Chris, that was the best thing that I ever did. Because what liquidation does for most directors is teaching them what not to do, okay? They've not seen it as failure. It's like, this is what went wrong. And it might be as simple as, my costs were too high. I never went cost saving, or I never really understood my numbers. I didn't really understand what a P&L was. I didn't understand what a balance sheet was. One of the things that we say to people is, if they're going to decide to set up another company, we say, well, what have you learned? What can you bring into your team next time to make sure that this doesn't happen again? And nearly all without fail, the next time is they bring in a bookkeeper. a bookkeeper who gives them reports on a monthly basis telling them where that business is. Now, I believe there are a number of steps that you need to take before you shut down any company. I've just alluded to one of them. Step one is to know your numbers. Like, understand where your business is at, not where you think it's at, not where you hope it's at. It's like speaking to all your creditors and getting statements from them, ringing up all the loan companies, finding out how much you owe them, getting all your returns into HMRC, how much do you owe HMRC. Out of all this stuff, what have you personally guaranteed? What's going to come and hit you once you go into liquidation? What's the terms of your lease? Is your lease personally guaranteed? Are there any dilapidations claims on the lease? Which basically means if you leave there, you're personally liable for putting the premises back to the condition that you found it in. Have you got any overdrawn loan accounts? I mean, how many videos have I done on this? An overdrawn loan account, remember, is when you owe the company money, and if you go through an insolvency process like liquidation or administration or compulsory liquidation, you're going to be asked to pay it back. There are surprises that don't need to be surprises that are going to ruin you after insolvency if you don't get your numbers clear now. So how do you get your numbers clear? Well, work with a bookkeeper. You know, in fact, if anything I've said to you so far has scared you or worried you, go in the comment section, click the link. One of my team will call you today with some free and independent advice to show you what your options are. No strings, no obligation. Step two, get independent advice, okay? Now, people don't really understand, like insolvency practitioners, and you need an insolvency practitioner to go through an insolvency process. But they're not necessarily, well, it's not that they're not necessarily there for you. They're not there for you, the director. Their role is very clear. They are there to advise the company and act in the best interest of creditors, not you. That's a really strange dynamic. If you think about it, when I want to go out there and get an accountant, I want an accountant to work on my best interests, or a solicitor. I would never dream of getting a solicitor for somebody I'm looking at suing. Doesn't make sense, does it? But in insolvency, you're going to find someone who essentially acts for the other side. And that is why I believe you need independent advice. It's what we do here at Director First. Remember, I'm not an insolvency practitioner. I'm just like you. 10 years ago, I went through an insolvency process and I felt like a frightened schoolboy. I was spoken to like a criminal. I didn't know where to turn. Everybody who I spoke to gave me conflicting advice, and that's how I set up Director First. And today we are the #1 director advisory in the UK. We have more Trustpilot reviews than anyone, and go and look at our Trustpilot reviews. They're not like two word he was very good. They are real stories. Some of them will bring you to tears how many people we've helped. But you need someone to explain to you the options, but also what the problems are. You know, what's going to happen as a result of going into an insolvency process. And we'll also help you mitigate the risk. And we'll basically help you choose the right exit. Now, step 3, you've got to act before you're forced. Because if one of your creditors comes and takes your assets or files a winding up petition, your options shrink. Acting now lets you control the timeline and the message and the outcome to people. So what are the red flags you can't ignore? Can't pay debts on time. You're borrowing to survive. HMRC is hounding you. Your mental health's in the toilet, and the numbers don't work despite you trying everything. Listen, it's not weakness, it's wisdom this. It's knowing when to stop, okay? Because the sooner you stop, the more options you've got available. The longer you wait, the less of those options you can use. If you're a UK director who is seeing these signs, please don't wait for someone else to decide your fate. Contact Director First today. We will help you understand your risks. We will help protect you personally as much as we can, and we can even help you build your next chapter on solid ground. And if you've enjoyed this video, I want you to go over there, okay? And it's a video on telling you all the things you need to check before you go into insolvency. It'll talk about selling assets. It'll talk about overdrawn directors' loan accounts and what you can do about those overdrawn directors' loan accounts. And it'll tell you everything you need to do before you appoint an insolvency practitioner. Thank you for your time, Chris Worden.